The Indianapolis Colts have hired former Bengals defensive coordinator as their defensive coordinator. And of course, I'm going to talk about it up next here on No Buts About It. Alrighty. Welcome to No Buts About It. I am Josh Butts, and I'm a Bengals fan, but I also root for the Indianapolis Colts. So this hire's got a little bit of crossover for me. Um, if you're wondering about the Bengals hires, don't worry. I'm gonna make a video about them tomorrow. So make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on that. But I wanted to get this video out there first, just because it's got more crossover. We kind of see more of these fans, I guess, of both of these teams. So I wanted to make sure I could get this done. Alrighty. So Lou Anarumo, former Bengals defensive coordinator, is now the Indianapolis Colts defensive coordinator. And is this a good thing? Well, I don't know. Because the Bengals did not look good last year. So I almost am concerned that they just rehired this guy. That's Gus Bradley, who was the Indianapolis Colts defensive coordinator last season, obviously. And let's run down some of the stats real quick between these two teams. So Cincinnati Bengals defense ranked sixth in points allowed last season, 27.8. They were eighth in opponent yards per game at 365.5. They allowed roughly 6 yards a play, which is awful. And then what really just grinded my gears was the opponent fourth down conversion percentage was 52.63, and the opponent red zone scoring percentage was 63.93. That means on every 6 out of 10 drives, the team was scoring a touchdown that the Bengals played. That is awful. That is terrible. You're not going to win a lot of football games with that kind of percentage. And the Bengals didn't. And that resulted in 3.4 opponent touchdowns per game that the Bengals defense let up. That was fifth highest in the league. Now let's go over to the Indianapolis Colts for comparison. I'm not saying the Indianapolis Colts defense was good at all. No one's arguing that. They had a lot of the same problems that the Bengals defense did, which I'm going to get into here. But they were better than the Bengals. I mean, so to the Bengals, 27.8 points per game. The Indianapolis Colts defense only allowed 22.2. To the yards per game, the Bengals had 365.5. Colts only let up 334.8. Again, not great, but better. And then the opponent fourth down conversion percentage was about the same. That was 60.71 for the Colts, and for the Bengals, it was 52.63. So the Colts were worse there. They had a much better red zone scoring percentage, though, and that was 53.85. And they only allowed 2.4 opponent touchdowns per game, which is a whole touchdown less, which was a lot of the time what the Bengals lost their games by. It was a single touchdown. So was the Colts defense good? No. But I don't know that hiring Lou Anarumo necessarily makes it better. Now, I think Lou Anarumo is a great schemer. I think he's very good at understanding offenses at an NFL level and what works against those offenses, especially Andy Reid. He is weirdly good against Andy Reid offenses, and kind of the guys that are using that system. But aside from that, that's really all he's got. I don't know that he can coach up these guys. I don't believe that he can at this point, unfortunately. Now people are going to look at this and say, well, Lou Anarumo, he was getting head coaching interviews a few years ago. He was the Bengals defensive coordinator when they went to the Super Bowl. Like, he's got to be a great defensive coordinator, right? And I'm sure there are Colts fans out there that are excited about this hire because of that. However, you got to consider something. The Bengals had this guy when they went to the Super Bowl as well. Jesse Bates, who played free safety. And that was really a key thing. And Bengals fans are starting to look back and say, like, why didn't we extend this guy? And I don't know if the Bengals could have extended the guy. I don't know if they should have extended the guy with what they're planning on doing in the front office. It's hard to tell, right? Because I'm not Duke Tobin. I would have liked to have seen him extended personally, but that didn't happen. So we have to move on. He went to the Falcons and he's balling out. It happens. Why did I bring up Jesse Bates? Well, Jesse Bates is a key component to Lou Anarumo's defense. And we can see this very quickly. Now, aside from Jesse Bates being an elite player on his own outside of the system, within the system, it elevated Jesse Bates even more because Lou Anarumo's system depends very much on having a very good free safety. Um, it depends on having a guy just single high, cover that back third, keep everything in front of them. Someone who's quick and a sure tackler. That was Jesse Bates. That was something we could depend on as a team. Everyone knew that if it ever made it back to Jesse Bates, he was going to make that tackle. And it was going to allow that bend, don't break defense to work. However, as we mentioned, Jesse Bates left. So we replaced him, and we replaced him with Dax Hill, who is a corner. We drafted an outside corner to replace one of the top free safeties in the NFL, and it didn't work. It failed. Then we tried replacing him with, and Dax Hill isn't a bad player. He looked good at outside corner before he got hurt. He just, you can't play a linebacker at corner, and you can't play a corner at free safety all the time. It doesn't work like that. It just doesn't. Players play positions for a reason. So now we got to look over at the Indianapolis Colts. What are the Indianapolis Colts plans for that position? That position that is the anchor piece of what Lou Anarumo wants to do. What do they have right now? Well, at free safety, they have Nick Cross. And I don't know if that scares Colts fans or if it's exciting for Colts fans, but I don't know that Nick Cross is the guy that I am ready to kind of put everything on in this defense. Now, Nick Cross isn't an awful player by any means. He's pretty middle of the pack, I'd say. He's great at his run defense. He's a fantastic run defender. Um, he he's a good player. He's a good player. Don't get me wrong. But is he who you want to depend on? Let's say, like, I don't know, Nico Collins. Let's say Nico Collins catches the ball and it's just him and Nick Cross. Are Colts fans ready to say, yep, Nick Cross makes that tackle? Because if they are, great. That's awesome. And I'm not telling you should believe one thing or another about Nick Cross. I like Nick Cross personally. But as a Colts fan, that's the question you're going to have to ask with the defensive scheme that Lou likes to run. Is Nick Cross going to be the guy to stop this? And if that makes you nervous, then you should be nervous about Lou, in my opinion. Now, of course, he doesn't run single high the entire time. So Julian Blackman will be back there at times to help him as well. But just kind of prepare yourself for that. Another thing that's really important to Lou's defensive scheme is pass rush, which the Bengals had none of this year. Nada. Zip. Zero. Which is really impressive because we had the sack leader as well in Trey Henderson. Now, this is where I think that the Indianapolis Colts are a bit better off right now. They have DeVorest Buckner. You have Grover Stewart. You've got some guys who can Deo Odebingo. I always say his name wrong. I'm sorry, Deo, but you've got him. So you've got some pass rushers. You've got some guys who can get the job done if they need to. Maybe you want to elevate there as well. That's fine. But that's another thing that Lou's scheme is very dependent on because they're not going to get a lot of coverage sacks. At least the Bengals didn't, and that could just be because our DBs weren't that great or aren't that great. But from what I've seen, Lou's defense depends very heavily on a quick pass rush that can get to the quarterback and put him on the ground fast. Now, the other difference that the Bengals have from the Colts is the Colts actually have a ton of veteran talent right now, and that was something that was very lackluster on the Bengals defense. The Bengals brought in Von Bell, an aging Von Bell, and he had moments this season, but he wasn't great. Sam Hubbard, just I love Sam Hubbard, but he's missing a step. He's been playing injured the last 2 seasons, and it showed. He's not the same guy anymore. He got stiff armed by Lamar Jackson. You just can't have that. And Lou should have at some point this season looked at Sam and said, "Hey, look, dude, you're injured. Just come take a step back. Let's see what these younger guys have." But he never really did that until Sam got injured to the point where he couldn't play anymore. Now, the Indianapolis Colts have those vets. They have guys who are making an impact on the field right now. DeForest Buckner, Nick Cross, Kenny Moore, Grover Stewart, like they're Julian Blackman. There are already players in place who know how to play the game. And that's great because Lou is not going to develop young talent. He just doesn't. He didn't with the Bengals, and I doubt he'll do it with the Colts. And it will get super, super annoying. For example, Jordan Battle, fantastic safety, looked great every time he came in his rookie year. We thought, man, this next year he is going to get a ton of playing time. He's going to be amazing. It's going to be awesome. Then we never saw him. We hardly saw him until the end of the year. He came in a few times, but it just wasn't it in this DB room, and it wasn't his fault. He looked great when he came in, but they were just so dependent on Geno Stone and Von Bell, who both made plays at times, but were also big liabilities at times. And it got to the point where it was like, let's see what the young guys can do. They're quicker, they're faster, they have more athleticism. That's huge on the football field in a game of inches. And when Jordan Battle got to play, it was a difference maker. Except for when he threw the ball out of bounds in the end zone. But other than that, Jordan Battle looked great. Another guy who is super frustrating to me, former third-round pick Joseph Asai. Now, this would have been a pass rusher who came in more with Sam Hubbard being hurt. And he did this season when Sam Hubbard got hurt. And he looked great. He looked phenomenal. Joseph Asai's stats near the end of the season are absolutely insane. They were crazy when he went to last season, no, 2 seasons ago, when they were in the AFC Championship. That season, he was looking great. He had 3.5 sacks in 2022 in his rookie year. He had 5 sacks this season when he finally got a chance to play. The Bengals defense had like 30 sacks total, maybe it felt like. And like 14 of those were Trey Hendrickson. Or 17, or whatever he finished with. The point is, the Bengals did not get a lot of sacks outside of Trey Hendrickson. And Joseph Asai getting 5 was insane. So yeah, I just checked. Trey Hendrickson had 17.5. Joseph Asai had 5. So he was the second place sack leader on the team, and he barely even played. They had 48 sacks total on the team. 17.5 of those went to Trey Hendrickson. 5 of those went to Joseph Asai. And now Joseph Asai is a free agent. We don't know what to do with him. Do we resign him? Do we not resign him? Because we put ourselves in this position where we don't really know what we have. And really, Lou put us in this position that we really don't know what we have. He looked good when he played, but why wasn't he playing before? Why was there something going on? Was he not really that good? Did you just get on a lucky streak? I don't think so. I'd love to have him back. I want to see him more. I wanted to see him again before. I thought that's why we drafted him. Another guy, Myles Murphy. First round pick. Never saw him. Just disappeared. Same thing with Dax Hill. Didn't play him his rookie year. Why are we drafting people in the first round that we're not going to play our rookie year? Like, the Colts did the same thing with Laiatu Latu. They didn't really play him this year. And I get, like, maybe you have guys already in place, but the Bengals didn't. The Colts didn't really either. The Colts have spots on defense they need to work on. They need to get more sure tacklers. The Bengals need to get more sure tacklers. Um, so why are you drafting players in the first round that aren't going to make an immediate impact for your team? And then not only that, Lou, why aren't you developing these players? Why do we have all these players on defense that aren't really getting better? Um, or they're coming in as free agents and they're getting worse, like Geno Stone. So that's a concerning thing for me. If I'm an Indianapolis Colts fan. And again, Lou is a fantastic schemer. If the players are already ready, if they're there and they're set and they know how to play the game, he's golden. He's great. You're gonna have that 2021 Super Bowl run again. That defense. But the Colts aren't quite there yet, really, are they? They've got some veterans, they've got some guys, but I think they've got about the same amount that the Bengals have, just in different positions. Um, and it concerns me for guys like Leatu Latu. This guy might be your new Miles Murphy, who you just never see get played, because there's guys in front of him who are vets, and maybe those guys are doing good right now. Maybe they're doing fantastic, but in the NFL, that regression can hit hard and fast. So I don't know who it would be. I don't want to put that on anyone, but if there's a player on the defensive line, on the defensive end, one of the defensive ends, and he's just taking a step back, he's slower, he's injured, whatever, there is a chance that Lou still will not play Leatu Latu, despite him being a former first round pick, despite him looking awesome in college, despite him all this stuff about him. Lou will just like shrug his shoulders and go, "Oh well." That's what happened with Sam Hubbard and Miles Murphy / Joseph Asai. And it puts the players in a weird position, it puts the team in a weird position, and it's just really annoying for the fans. So, Colts fans, I hope you are prepared for that. Uh, I do think Lou is a good schemer. I think he's a good planner, but the fact is he doesn't develop players well, in my opinion. And I cannot sit here and say, you know what? Yeah, if the Colts draft well, they are going to be a contender, because I don't know that that's true. I don't even know that the draft picks would get playing time. Um, the Colts defense was bad last year, but they were better than what the Bengals were. So is this a good hire? I don't know. I don't really think so. I think it's an okay hire, but I think it's a lateral move. I don't think it's really an upgrade from Gus Bradley. I just think you're plugging the wrong holes. It's kind of like you're in a sinking ship and you're plugging one hole, but then you're also like trying to saw a hole in another part of the boat for some reason. It just doesn't work. You're still going to go down. So let me know what you think about the hire down below. Like I said, I think it's a lateral move. It's an okay move, but let me know what you think. Uh, Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. It really helps all of us here at No Buts About It. Helps us do this. And until next time, go do something nice for someone.